President Trump just used the first veto of his entire presidency today to do something, and this is a fact, to do something totally illogical, to break his most famous campaign promise. Donald Trump vetoing the resolution that would have blocked his claim for an emergency to seize your money, American money, to build the border wall. And he was forced to do this with opposition, as we've mentioned, from Republicans. The veto coming weeks after Donald Trump actually created the longest government shutdown in American history, which was again done to break his promise. You wouldn't have to pay for the border wall because Mexico will pay for it. I can't say this enough. This is remarkable and ridiculous. Donald Trump going to these lengths to do something that politicians rarely try to do, which is first break a campaign promise and then draw attention to it. Remember, this is a candidate who told everyone one major thing about this wall: you wouldn't have to pay for it, and Mexico would.
Believe me, Mexico's paying for the wall, okay? That's it.
This is a wall that's going to work. Mexico will pay for it.
Mexico, in some form, and there are many different forms, will reimburse us.
One way or the other, Mexico is going to pay for the wall.
Mexico, Sean, is going to pay for the wall.
Mexico
Mexico will pay for the wall.
MSNBC News analyst Howard Fineman joins me. What does it mean that the President of the United States has gone to these lengths, his first veto against his own party, to drastically break and promote the breakage of that now defunct promise?
Well, what it means is he's sticking to the theory of politics that got him elected president, he thinks, which is to endlessly feed the passions of his base. That's the simple and actually rather obvious explanation for what he's doing. But he's doing it in a political situation where, even though Republicans are for the most part sticking with him, both here in Washington and around the country, there's slippage around the edges there. On the question of the wall itself, and certainly the lengths he's going to try to get it done. So
how does it help his base to draw attention to the fact that he's basically forcing Americans to fund this thing? I mean, it's one thing to sell something that people may or may not want. It's another thing to say someone else will pay for it. I mean, everyone's always more open to another round if someone else is paying for it, and then you have a secondary discussion about, should I have another? And here he was, let me show you, here he was, you know, talking about the form the payment would come in the pesos. Take a look.
When during the campaign, I would say Mexico's going to pay for it. Obviously, I never said this, and I never meant they're going to write out a check.
They'll pay in one form or another. They may even write us a check.
Howard?
Well, the problem here politically in opposing Trump is, I mean, I'm hearing a lot of commentary on this, but I'm not hearing, for example, Democratic presidential candidates, for the most part, or in a sense, Democrats in general, talking, they don't have much political leverage because they're against the wall altogether. How it's going to be paid for and Trump's lies about that are just another in a long litany of his lies going back to the beginning of the campaign.
I mean, they may feel, Howard, that he's so sufficiently and completely and publicly owned himself, they don't have much to add on this particular one.
Yeah, but if they're not in the discussion about whether we should build a wall at all. They're all against the idea of building a wall. The mechanics of the funding are interesting, and yes, it shows what a fantasist and a liar the president is, but everybody already knows that. So I don't think it's necessarily the salient political point here. More important, I think, legally,
I don't think you could be more wrong. I mean, he went around, I was at the rallies, and he said Mexico will pay for it, and people cheered, and that was his thing. And I'm telling you, the people there, as you saw, they were excited by that point. In other words, it wasn't just border security. It was, I'm going to dominate the world as a dominant actor representing America and make other people pay for things, on trade, on the wall, on immigration. You get the final word.
Well, all I'm saying is that virtually every Democrat in the majority of the country, now close to majority of the country, if not a straight-out majority of the country, doesn't want the wall built at all and never have, really.
Howard Fineman, always like chopping it up with you on a Friday. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Turning next to a Beat exclusive on this letter now new from Congress, NDA's Stormy Daniels, and why Fox News could be on the losing end of this particular scoop when we're back in 30 seconds.